Hello, this is George Senda, the guy from Pittsburgh, and one of the things that the haters and trolls have said over the years, I lie about everything. Well, I've told the story how when I was 5, I was at a Catholic boarding school in Ligonier, Pennsylvania, had developed pneumonia, had 107 fever, was rushed as fast as you could rush in a blizzard to the nearest hospital, which at that time in 1957 was 60 miles away in Pittsburgh, and they brought me to McGee Hospital where my mother was a charge nurse on the floor. But when I got there, because it was a blizzard and it took a very long time to go the 60 miles, I was pronounced dead. Well, they brought me in, my mother was waiting for the ambulance, and she said, "Nope, he's not dead. He's still alive. I can feel him." I had no pulse, no respiration, no heartbeat. She had them pack me in ice. And I was gone for 3 days. I saw myself head for the light, saw my body raise out of my body. I saw the hospital room where they took me to, and they had me in a bath and then moved me and did something. I don't remember the exact details because I was kind of not there entirely, but I remember the next thing I remember was being in the hospital bed with all the doctors and nurses around me and my parents and a television on. But I know at some point I rose out of the container I was in or whatever I was in, saw a light in the corner of the room, saw everybody hovering around, and saw me head for the light. And I knew if I went to that light and went through it, I was not coming back to my body. And at 5, you don't have any concept of death. I had a baby chicken die once. I've had cats die and I've had my father and mother die and a girlfriend die. But when you're little, you don't know what death is. You're just a kid. So anyway, this book I read cover to cover, the Brothers Warner, about the brothers who founded Warner Brothers and ran Warner Brothers. Well, I'm reading chapter 21, The End of the Dynasty. And it's a little hard to confirm something when the particulars are dead. My mother and all the nurses and doctors, they're probably all not around anymore, and I wouldn't know my name unless I went to Pittsburgh and see how far back do your medical records go. And who knows if they've been disposed after all these years. But Jack L. Warner, the president of Warner Brothers, he went to Cannes in France. He liked to go to Europe and gamble. He had a villa in France. He spent a lot of time in France. So on August 4th, 1958, 4 days after his brother Harry's funeral, he's playing baccarat. He wins about $4,000. He'd been drinking a little, but he mostly was tired. So he gets in his Alfa Romero, drives down the Cornish Road, and was moving very fast and hit a coal truck and was thrown from his car, was lying there unconscious, and some people in a Volkswagen who happened to be at the casino, and they left about the same time, saw him, picked him up, put him in the Volkswagen, and took him to the hospital. And thus the tale. He was in very bad shape, and I want to read you this paragraph because at the time when my mother said pack him in ice, the other doctors and nurses looked at her as if she was crazy because they didn't do that in America. But here is the quote, if I can find it, and this is from his son Jack Warner Jr., who flew to Europe. It took 2 days for the visa to go through and the passport, but he flew to Europe as fast as he can to be with his father, and they had issues together. But he met with his father's wife Anne at the hospital, and when my wife and I appeared at the hospital, no, that's not it, I'm sorry, I read the wrong paragraph here. Because of a combination of jet lag and concern, we were unable to sleep, went back to the hospital where I told my father was still in a critical state. He was unconscious and for a long time had been plunged into an ice-filled tub to hold his temperature down to avoid swelling of brain tissue, which might cause death. And that's precisely what my mother did with me She knew the high fever could destroy my brain and kill me, but she sensed somehow that I was not dead. And this happened again in 1962, thanks to the actions of my late father, who I wound up in a hospital again and pronounced dead. So there is confirmation of what she did. She had them pack me in ice, and they packed Jack Warner in ice to keep him from dying. The only difference is I was unconscious too, but they couldn't detect anything. But my mothers know, she knew her son was still alive. And I had a near-death experience. All right, this is George Senda, the guy from Pittsburgh. Have a great day and stay warm, dry, wet, or cool out there as the case may be, and above all, stay safe. Bye-bye for now.